We'll start the today's demo session. First, let me introduce myself. So, I'm Sai, having 5 years of experience into information security domain. Currently, I'm working as a cybersecurity consultant for one of the MNCs in India. So, I'm basically a VAPT professional. Okay, so I know the vulnerability assessment. Okay, I handle the entire vulnerability management, okay, from the deployment to delivering the results like patching and all the different aspects in the vulnerability management. So, and also I do the penetration testing for network, web application, and mobile. And here are the few EC Council trainings and certifications that I have completed. So I'm the EC Council certified instructor, and I also have done the network defender, ethical hacker, security analyst, and web application penetration testing. So, yep, today's agenda. So first we'll understand what is this course is all about. Okay, what is the CHS and what are the different types of things that we cover, and we'll also start with the understanding what is cybersecurity, why it is important to learn, and some of the fundamental terminologies which are required to get started into the cybersecurity. And we'll see who is hacker, different types of hackers, and what are the prerequisites to get started, hackers methodology. Okay, we can also call this as a 5 phases of hacking. Then I'll help you to set up your lab. Okay, so first let's understand what is the CH version 11 is. So I think you might be heard about the EC Council, right? So if you go to ecouncil.org/programs/certified ethical hacker CH. So basically, EC Council is the governance body which offers the various types of cybersecurity related certification. So one of the famous certification from the EC Council, which take you from the beginner level to advanced level, is CH. So I can say CH is the stepping stone into the cybersecurity. The person who wants to get started your career into the cybersecurity. So nowadays the CH is the kind of a mandatory certification that every company is looking for, because so here you know we are going to learn, okay, the latest commercial grade hacking tools, techniques, and methodologies used by hackers and information security professionals to lawfully hack an organization. Because we are ethical hackers, we work for some companies to protect their infrastructure from the various types of attacks which are happening from the outside by using the you know the provided tools like the commercial grade hacking tools and the techniques and methodologies. Okay, whatever we are learning over here, the same thing like a real hacker we are also going to apply in our organization to identify the various loopholes, okay, like we call it as a vulnerabilities, okay, lawfully by taking the permissions and approval. So whenever we identify any loophole or vulnerability into the systems or a network, so we report them to the management or concern respective teams in the organization to take the action in terms of like patching it, so that next time, okay, a real hacker who has the bad intention cannot be able to penetrate using the same way, right? So here some of the things that we are going to learn, like so here we are going to learn the emerging attack vectors with the modern exploit techniques, Okay, we'll discuss about the some of the um, very important um, you know exploits like MSDT or Log4j. We'll also look at into the emerging attack vectors that hackers are using to penetrate into the network and hands-on hacking challenges. So here I'll help you to set up your lab. Then I'll also help you, providing the different types of ISOs, like which are vulnerable ISOs, so that you can install them and you can start, identifying the vulnerabilities, and you can basically play with them. Okay. So here we also discuss about some of the case studies, like how the various types of data breaches have happened and how they have overcome it. Okay, and different types of tricks and techniques and the tools that we have in the CH. So let's go and have it look it into the syllabus. So when it comes to the CH syllabus, totally we have the 20 different modules, guys. Okay, so these 20 different modules will cover the network layer attacks, application layer attacks, wireless attacks, mobile attacks, IoT, cloud basics, and also the cryptography part. So if you see this, so here we are actually gonna learn the things in all the directions, right? So uh, let me just give you a quick overview of what this 20 modules is. So if you see, the first module is just introduction, where we are going to learn the fundamental terminologies, okay, including the basic hacking, like who is a hacker, different types of a hacker, and relevant information security controls, standards, and procedures. And also here itself, I'll be helping you to set up your own lab. Like we'll be creating one as an attacker system, and we'll be attacking on the different types of machines. Those are the victim machines. So we'll be creating those lab setup in our own system, okay, using the virtualization technology, using like VMware or VirtualBox. So this is how it looked like. Okay, so we use the Kali Linux operating system over here. So the Kali Linux is our attacker system, and we'll be attacking on the other operating systems like Windows 11, Windows 7, Ubuntu, and some of the vulnerable operating systems like Metasploitable 2, Game Over, Web Pen Test, okay, etc., etc. So these are all the things I'll be helping you, okay, to set up once we start the sessions. Yeah, this is a kind of a lab that we are actually going to create in our local network to learn the different types of attacks before we apply somewhere else, right? So then after that, the very important thing that CH will teach us, okay, is hackers methodology. Okay, every hacker will have this. I mean, they use this methodology. Okay, even if he's a black hat guy or white hat guy, so they follow the same methodology to perform the penetration testing on the any kind of a network or application or whatever it is. So it starts with the information gathering. So we call it as a footprinting. Then they perform the scanning on the infrastructure, and they enumerate the possible information about the open ports, okay, in the system. Then they also use some of the tools like Qualys and Nessus to perform the vulnerability assessment scans on the target. So once they have identified the vulnerability, then they exploit it, and they also use the malwares to maintain the persistent access, okay, between the target. So this second to seventh module, okay, we are going to learn the hackers methodology in a practical way. So it involves lot of the tools and techniques that we'll be covering over here, from the Nmap, Wireshark, okay, and different types of enumeration tools for each major ports, and also vulnerability analysis. So here we are going to learn the manual vulnerability findings, and also using an automated tools like Qualys and Nessus. And in the system hacking, you will learn the various ways an hacker will use it to get into the system. Okay, it could be maybe by identifying a vulnerability, or by taking the reverse connections from them, or by performing uh, you know any kind of a social engineering technique to deliver the payload and taking the reverse connection, sending a malwares. So here we'll learn all the different techniques how a hacker will try to gain the access of the system. So everything we are going to learn it in a practical way in our own lab setup. So once you acquire these skills, okay, then you can apply these skills in the real world itself. Okay. So once we're done with the hackers methodology, we have the network layer attacks. Okay, so if you see here, sniffing is a network layer attack, social engineering is human-based attack, then we have the denial of a service attack. Okay, then we have the session hijacking, and evading the IDS, IPS, firewalls. I mean, we have all the network layer attacks over here because most of the attacks, okay, will happen through the network. So, like I can say, till the 13th module, okay, we have all the different types of network layer attacks that we'll be covering. Okay, so is it enough that if we use the network, uh, I mean, if we learn the network layer attacks and if we implement all the security to the network, our infrastructure, will get safer? No, right? Okay, the primarily, uh, okay, we use the network security to prevent all the attacks, like to prevent the information gathering, scans, enumeration, etc., etc., etc. But let's say there is an application which is running on your environment and that is not having any security. So through that application, they can also compromise the entire network, a system, or a server. Okay, so what I mean to is, so having only not network security will help us over here. Okay, so application security is also important. So we have the application layer attacks as well over here. Okay, from the OAPS top 10 list. Okay, OAPS is like uh, Open Web Application Security Project. So from the OAPS, we are going to learn the major application layer attacks which could lead to take the reverse connections, or which could lead to compromise the entire system through the application. Then we have the individual modules like hacking Wi-Fi, mobile, IoT, and basics of cloud and cryptography. So every module which is there in the EC Council, uh, is important, because once you cover this all the modules, it really help you to deal with any kind of a situation. Okay, when you're joined as a security consultant or security analyst in the organization. So here, if you see this course is like more towards the offensive way. I mean, like a real hacker, what kind of a tools they use it, what kind of tricks and techniques they use it to penetrate into the network. The same kind of a thing here we are going to learn it, because when you understand the bad guy, okay, how he's basically coming, so it's very easy for us to prevent or stop him, right? So with the same strategy, the EC Council also given this all the syllabus in a offensive way. Okay, so once you complete this course, you can join as a security analyst, or you can join as a security consultant, or vulnerability analyst. Okay, there are many different roles that the EC Council also highlighted over here. Okay, once you complete this course, you can apply for all the different designations. Okay, so which they have given over here, right? So this is all about the syllabus part, right? So I think you guys are clear. Okay, what is the syllabus and what are the things that we are going to cover? So if you guys have any questions, please just put it in the chat box. Okay, I'll respond to it. Then let's understand what is cybersecurity is. Okay, we know ethical hacking is the part of cybersecurity, right? So there are many different domains out there, okay, in the cybersecurity. So ethical hacking, penetration testing is also one of the domains. So once you complete the CH, okay, you can basically join in cybersecurity. So what the cybersecurity is actually? So cybersecurity refers to the body of technologies, processes, and the practices designed to protect the network devices, programs, and the data from the attacks, damage, or unauthorized access. So as a cybersecurity guy, our responsibility is to prevent the attacks, damage, or unauthorized access of the system network, okay, by implementing the or following the security best practices and processes. Right? Anything which is connected to internet, which is exposing to the internet, okay, which is having an IP address, or which is having some kind of a critical information. So we need to protect it, okay, by using the security best practices to stop the unauthorized activity. Because the hackers are the one who always try to penetrate systems and network to gain the unauthorized access, right? So we have to stop them by using the security best practices, right? So why it is important to learn? Okay, so as you guys are aware now, without security, okay, there is no domain. I mean to say, let's say you have a network, uh, you have a cloud, you have a web application, or you have some data, or you have some kind of IoT devices which you are using it. But let's say there is no security, and directly there is an application which got created, or you bought some IoT devices and you just started using it. What will happen if those IoT devices are having some kind of a critical vulnerabilities? Easily someone can penetrate the application or the IoT device, and they can have an access to it, and then later they can misuse it. So the security is now encompassed into all the different areas. So without a security BU approval, okay, business unit approval, they cannot directly host it into the public facing networks, right? Because we are the one who basically simulate the real attacks on the application or a network. And once we identify the various loopholes and vulnerabilities, we tell them to patch it. So once it is patched, okay, then they are okay to keep that application live, or else easily someone can misuse it, right? And there are many different types of cyber threats also increasing, okay, day by day. So we can also check that in the information beautiful website. So there is a website called informationbeautiful.net, okay, uh, and slash visualization world's biggest data breaches. So here we can able to see the various types of data breaches that are occurred or happened in a recent year. Like here we have the year-on-year data, year-on-year data. So let's say if I'm clicking on, let's say Canva, or let's say if I'm clicking on like Microsoft. So it will give you how the data breach is happened. Okay, I mean how the hackers are basically entered into their servers, and what kind of a data has been stolen. Okay, and what kind of a techniques that they have used to uh, take the personal information. I mean, take the private information from the servers. So here you will understand, okay, everything about data breach, like why it is happened, what kind of a data has been out, okay, what kind of a security measures that they have not taken, okay, So like, of course, it's kind of a case study that, uh, by reading this kind of various types of data breaches, you will understand, okay, because of what the attack is happen, okay, why is the security is really important. And if you see here, we have almost all the big players, right? So if in case if you are also, if you want to check yourself, if you are also part of, uh, this data breach, so you can go to a website called, uh, yeah, have I been pawn.com. So here you can just give your email address or phone number. It'll it'll give you by comparing with all the compromised accounts. Okay, if your account is also existed. Let's say your username and password, email addresses and phone number is out. Let's say credit card, debit card information also could be possible. Okay, so they can simply go and take that clear text usernames and passwords from the deep web and dark web, and they try to log in into your account. If you're not changing your passwords, if you're just using the same passwords for the uh, again and again, right? Or maybe if you're using the same password to the multiple accounts, they'll also try to log in, okay, with your username and password to the different accounts to perform the impersonation. Okay, so of course, yeah, you can just go and have a visit, um, have just go and check yourself. And there are many different types of cyber criminals also increasing. Okay, so if you go and just yeah, have a look at into the hackersnews.com. So here you will be able to see the various types of threats, okay, malwares, the hackers groups, okay, who are using various types of uh, attack techniques to compromise the systems, right? So information about the cyber threats and how they are basically targeting the companies. So we have also created a defensive strategy by updating the IOCs like incidents of compromised if in case if we have into our security solutions to stop such a kind of cyber threats. So that's where we have this course to understand a bad guy, right? So if you want to beat a bad guy, we also need to think like a bad guy. Okay, then only we can stop the various types of attacks. So of course, every company is having nowadays their own cyber defending team who always try to protect their infrastructure with the help of the tools and techniques and security best practices. And there are many opportunities also across the world, and this is the one of the highest demand, and also high paid jobs. And there is no programming languages that you need to learn, because it's all about tools and techniques, okay, that you need to learn. And it will be very much interesting because hacking is something everybody like uh, attracts to it, okay. And so of course, yeah, so this is the one of the highest paid job market. There are many openings are also there in the various organizations, right? So yeah, this is about the importance of the security. And here we have the fundamental terminologies. Okay, so what is this fundamental terminology? So we use this fundamental terminologies, I mean, every day. Okay, so we call, like, we are also started calling like vulnerabilities, right? So what is mean by vulnerability is it's like a weakness, okay, a flaw, or I can say an entry point into the system, right? Anything, okay. The vulnerability could be anywhere. It could be on network, it could be on any application that we are using and running. It could be on any operating system. It could be any misconfiguration, okay, in the kernel or in the hardware, anywhere. Okay, so when I say vulnerability, it is just a weakness, and attackers will identify the the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities, and they try to exploit it. Okay, so when I say exploit it, so they every vulnerability has an exploit code also. Okay, if I talked about okay, let me uh, give an example to you. So recently, uh, so okay, so here you can see it says update Google Chrome browser to patch the new zero-day exploit detected in the wild. So if I click on it, it will tell you what is this zero-day vulnerability is. Okay, browsers are always vulnerable. Okay, so the new versions and new vulnerabilities will be identified all the time, and they also give the updates. So it's a zero day. So what is mean by zero day is also there over here. So when I say zero day, which means that let's say the vulnerability is identified today, but they haven't released the patch, okay, for that vulnerability. I mean, there is a vulnerability, but there is no solution for it. Okay, I mean, there is no patch for it. So that is a zero day. Okay, when you have a vulnerability, but when there is no patch, okay, that is very dangerous, right? Easily, whomever having this exploit, they can use this exploit to compromise the system. So the so yeah, of course, it is a zero-day vulnerability in the Google Chrome browser, which is yeah, prior to this version 103.0.5060.114. So if someone is using the Google Chrome prior to this particular version, okay, it will, I mean, it is vulnerable for all these three different CVEs. So we will learn like what is the CVE is basically, and what is the zero day. Okay, is what is the zero days? What is exploited? What is the payload? So all the different terminologies, all the basic terminologies we are going to learn it over here. So when I say exploit, it is a piece of code, okay, which help us to take the advantage over the vulnerability. Okay, so it could be anything. Okay, it could be written in the any language. Okay, it could be written in the Python or simple, JavaScript, or maybe in the Bash, whatever it is. Okay, when I say exploit, it's just a piece of code. Okay, which helps us to take the advantage over the vulnerability. So every vulnerability will also have the exploit, but not always you will get the exploit code in the internet, because if that is the case, okay, if everybody is putting all the vulnerabilities and exploits in in some kind of a forum, so it's very 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 easy for an attacker or like you and me to use this exploit code to attack on any system, right? So not always you will get the exploits codes for every vulnerability in the internet, but sometimes the hackers or security professional who wants to get some kind of a fame, they publish these exploit codes in the internet. Okay, and we have a payload. It is just a malware that hackers will be using it to deliver to the victim with the exploit itself. Okay, I mean, when you have a vulnerability on any system, okay, so before attacking them, so let's say this is an exploit. So inside the exploit, they will also add the payload. And once the exploitation is done, the payload will also executes into their system. The malware will also executes into their system. And with the help of this malware, they will interactively communicate and they perform the various types of malicious activities. Okay, so you're going to learn, the various types of exploits and payloads and how to create it in the upcoming sessions. So here we have zero day. So whenever I say 0 day, only one thing you can remember, guys, it is, I mean, there is no patch available. That's it. I mean, let's say the vulnerability is identified today and the vendor is giving the patches after a month. So this month is basically called as a 0 day. Okay. And every vulnerability will also have a CVE number. So if you see here, so here we have the three different CVE numbers. So it's a unique number which is assigned to a specific vulnerability by the number authority. So if I copy this CVE and if I put it into the Google, only I'll be able to see the results which are belongs to the same vulnerability. You can see it is used after free animation in the Google Chrome prior to this version, it seems. It's all same, right? So it's a unique identification number which is given by a number authority, okay, for every vulnerability. And so this is the CV, common vulnerability exposure, and this is the year when it is identified, and this is the unique number assigned to this specific vulnerability. Okay, and also every vulnerability will also have something called CVSS score. Okay, you can see here the CVSS score is 8.8. I mean, when you have so many vulnerabilities, like as I have highlighted last time, every vulnerability you cannot exploit and get into the system. There are vulnerabilities which might be information disclosure vulnerabilities or simply medium level vulnerabilities. So every vulnerability is prioritized, okay, and the severity will be decided according to its exploitability. Okay, so we calculate the CVSS score over here for every vulnerability. So you can also like go and have a look at into like CVSS score calculator. So we, depending on the vulnerability, we give the uh, you know inputs. Okay, we have to give the parameters like what kind of an attack it is. Okay, and what kind of a vulnerability it is. Is it exploitable using the network locally or physically or adjacent? Let's say it is exploitable using the network. What is the attack complexity? Is it low or high? Let's say the attack complexity is low. It's very easy to attack. Did they require any privileges to attack? And sometimes sometimes we required privileges. Okay, you required some username, password to exploit some vulnerability. Let's say there is no privileges are required. Will there any user interaction required while you're exploiting it? Did they need to go and click something or did they need to go and open something? No. Let's say there is no interaction is required and the scope is unchanged. And once they have compromised, we're able to breach the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay. So once you give all these details, okay, according to the exploit, the CVSS score will be calculated. You can say it is 9.8, right? So the CVSS score will be like this. I mean, if anything in between the so here you can see if anything is in between the 9 to 10, that is very critical. If anything is in between the 7 to 8.9, that is high. Then we have similarly low and medium. So whenever you have such kind of a vulnerabilities with the severity wise, the first thing that we take an action is high and critical, because which has the more impact, okay, which is very easy to attack and take. Sometimes it will also give the direct remote access to the system. So of course, once you have this all the reports from the vulnerability assessment tools, or you can also calculate the CVSS score, like as I've shown you by visiting the first.org site. Okay, so we'll discuss about everything in detailed way, because we have a separate module which is vulnerability analysis. So in the vulnerability analysis, we will learn the manual techniques and automated techniques also. So yeah, so we'll learn about it. Okay, so this is the CVSS score. Okay, common vulnerability scoring system, and we have doxing, which is publishing private information into the internet without taking the proper approvals. Let's say you have identified a vulnerability in some company, but you have not reported them, you have not even notified them directly, or publishing their private information into the internet. So that is the doxing. And we have the daisy chain process, which means, let's say you have a couple of systems in a network, but one system is more vulnerable, so you are already compromised the system. So with the help of the same compromised system, if you're attacking the other systems in the network, okay, so that is basically the daisy chain process is all about. And once you compromise all those systems, so all the systems are under your control now, right? So whichever the system is under your control, okay, which is listening your remote commands, is basically a bot, right? That is your bot. So that's the reason when you say botnet, it is just a compromised system for an attacker. So once they compromise the system, they use those compromised systems to perform some other malicious activities. Got it? Uh, any questions, guys? Okay, so if you have any questions, I'll take up your questions. Yeah, after once we complete this, session. Yeah. Then we have, who is a hacker? So we know the hacker is a person who uses the computer hardware, software technologies to gain the unauthorized access over a system, right? So depending on the motive, uh, you know, so he is trying to take the unauthorized access in an ethical way, okay, to report all the vulnerabilities to the, managers and etc. We call them as a white hat hackers, because they have the good intention, right? So they always try to hack, uh, for the, I mean, to identify the loopholes and to stop all the attacks. So they are the white hat hackers. We also call them as a penetration testers, and the companies will hire, ethical hackers and penetration testers, because they are the good guys. Whenever they identifies any vulnerabilities, they report it to the, uh, of course, they report it to the concerned team to take an action or to remediate those vulnerabilities. And black hat hackers are quite opposite. They don't work for any companies. They work for themselves. I mean, their intention would be different. Okay, their intention would be like to steal some information or to damage their infrastructure, etc., etc. So that's the reason we call them as a crackers. And we have the gray hat hackers, who are just the combination of the white hat hackers and black hat hackers. So sometimes they work for offensive and sometimes they work for defensive. It's like the mixture of both. And what are the prerequisites to get started? Okay, so of course we require technical skills and also non-technical skills, guys. So when I say technical skills, if you see, almost all the attacks that we are going to learn and perform is, through the network. I mean, when I say application layer attacks, also the application is also connected to some web server, and we are accessing through the network. right? So the very basic skill that is required to get started is understanding about the network, like how the data is getting transmitting from the one system to another system, like the OSI model, TCP/IP model, all the 7 layers in the OSI, and most commonly used protocols like FTP, SSH, Telnet, okay, SMTP, SMB, HTTP, HTTPS, MySQL, RDP. I mean, just basic knowledge about the networking theoretically also that's fine. Okay, because whenever it's required, I'll be also covering those topics, so it's very easy for you to understand them. And in this entire course, we are going to use the Kali Linux operating system. Okay, because Kali Linux is something which is meant and created for the uh, security professionals. Okay, so all security professionals, penetration testers, and forensic investigators, they use this penetration testing Kali distribution, which has all the tools okay pre-installed in it. So we are also going to use this penetration testing operating system to learn the various types of tools and attacks. So I'll teach you how to install it and how to deal with the basic things. But of course, whenever you have some time, you can also go and learn all the basic commands and the architecture and what kind of a permissions model that the Kali works, etc. And basic understanding about the web applications and servers. So these are some of the technical skills, guys. So anyway, we are covering it, okay, part of a course. But of course, whenever you have some time, go and spend some time over here to get some uh, more details about it. And non-technical skills. So you have to be very patient, okay, and you should have a self-learning skills, googling skills, and you have to update yourself every day by reading the security news and vulnerabilities, okay, because the security domain itself is a vast, okay, every day the new vulnerabilities and new different malwares, uh, you know the new things will be coming up, right? So you have to be you have to ready to learn and acquire those skills, okay, to update yourself. So of course, yeah, once you subscribe to various types of the hacking related forums and news, okay, you will be having a notification. So of course, yeah, you can easily um, learn and understand it, right? So this is about the prerequisites part, guys. Then why a hacker will, I mean, how a hacker will try to uh, why a hacker will try to uh, I mean what we say, perform the hacking, right? They have their own motive, right? They, I mean, they uh, sorry, you know they hack for uh, money, and some people will do it for challenge. Okay, some people will just do it for excitement, or it could be an internal or external threat, right? So everyone, they have their own motive, right? So when you are doing a hacking, like an ethical hacker, your motive is to identify the vulnerabilities and report it, right? If he's a bad guy, so they have, they might be doing it for money, or they might be doing it for some just challenge or excitement and etc., right? So to fulfill this motive, okay, so to fulfill the motive, what they required an opportunity, right? Okay, you have a motive now, you're planning to compromise some system, but how do you able to compromise it? Okay, how do you able to enter? With the help of weaknesses, which is vulnerabilities. So they identify the vulnerabilities, okay, then they exploit those vulnerabilities to carry out the attack. So we call this as a elements of hacker, MOM. Okay. So okay. So depending on it, we have this hackers methodology. So this hackers methodology will teach you, okay, how to basically perform the penetration testing or how to perform the hacking. Okay. So if you see here okay, so we also call it as a 5 phase of hacking. Okay, it is very, very important that we are going to learn, uh, in this course in a practical way. The very, very first thing is what a hacker will do is, let's say, before he is attacking, he do the information gathering. Okay, let's say, he will go and identify the IP addresses. Okay, what kind of a technologies they are using, what kind of a servers they are using, what kind of a softwares they are using. So they gather like employee details, email addresses, phone numbers, okay, different types of products that they are dealing with. So, they gather almost all the possible information about the target. So that is the reconnaissance. So there are, we have the two different types of reconnaissance. One is the passive and one is the active. So whenever I say it's, passive, it just, attackers will look at into the publicly available resources to gather the information. So we have the, OSINT technique and OSINT tools. So we use this OSINT tools to, gather the publicly available resources from the internet. Okay. I mean, they themselves would have posted somewhere else, right? So we go and gather those details. And we have the active reconnaissance, which is like scanning. We directly interact with them to identify the possible information. Like we directly go and perform the host discovery scan, port scans, enumeration scans, and vulnerability scans on the target. Whenever we identify the vulnerability, we exploit it. So here we have the different types of exploitation techniques, like how they take the bind connections, how they take the reverse connections, password cracking, or by sending a malwares to them for just performing a phishing attack with the help of the social engineering technique, etc. Okay. Once they are inside the system, once they have an access to the system, they try to maintain the access. It's not like today I have an access to the system, I'll be exploiting it. Okay. They will wait for the right time, okay, to exploit it. Maybe, weekends, or maybe, when they think, uh, it's the right time. So they try to exploit it. So until the time they maintain the access with the target system by injecting the malwares into it. Then later, once they are done with the exploitation, they clear the tracks and they'll come out from the system. Okay, because let's say everything, whatever you have performed on the target system will be recorded in the logs. So later, if those logs are going to the forensic team, and there are chances that they can easily identify who has entered, what kind of an IP addresses that they have used, okay, how they have entered, right? So they also clear the tracks to not leave any digital footprints of you know any kind of a digital footprints into their uh, system, right? So everything that we are going to learn in a theoretical way and as well as the practical way. Okay. So once we like before starting any kind of a module, okay, we learn first theoretically, okay, which will give you the deeper understanding and reasoning, and it'll build the content logic, and it will also help to set a strategy, right? Then in the same day, we are also going to do some kind of practicals, and after that I am also give you a small assignments to you, so you guys can go and perform these assignments whenever you guys are free. And I'll teach you the lab setup. So this is something we'll discuss in the upcoming classes. Okay, how to set up the lab. How many systems are required. So basically, if you have i5 or i7 with the 8 to 16 GB RAM, a Windows system, that is enough. We'll I will show you how to create the lab and how to install the Linux operating system as an attacker system, and some other vulnerable system has a victim system or a target system, right? So this is all about just background about the course, uh, content, and what is cybersecurity, and who is a hacker, what prerequisites are required. Uh, I can say it's just a theory that we have discussed today, but all the sessions will be in a practical way. Okay. Of course, yeah, all the sessions will be in a practical way. But of course, before we get started anything, it's better to understand the theory, learn all the prerequisites, then we can start, right? So that's how the things I have planned. So yeah, so this is all about the today's demo session is. Yeah, if you have any questions, guys, you can please let me know.